The information provided on this podcast is intended for general informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While we discuss topics related to vegan health, diet, and fitness, always consult with a qualified healthcare provider or a registered dietitian before making any changes to your diet, fitness routine, or lifestyle, especially if you have existing health conditions.
Welcome to Good Vegan Meal, the podcast for lifelong vegans, people wanting to become vegan, or those interested in vegan living. We're here to make your lives better by giving you the information you need to succeed in your compassionate vegan lifestyle.
Have you ever walked through the grocery aisle and just felt, a bit overwhelmed
Oh, definitely.
by the sheer variety of plant-based meats? And you're wondering, what exactly is all this stuff and why is everyone talking about it?
Yeah, you're definitely not alone there. It really feels like it happened overnight.
Right. What started as, a pretty niche interest has just absolutely exploded. We're talking a market projected to hit over $162 billion by 2030.
It's huge.
So today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating world of plant-based meat alternatives.
We've gathered insights from all over, taste tests, expert analyses, even a vegan dietitian's personal story, which was quite interesting.
Our mission really is to cut through the noise, give you the important nuggets of knowledge, help you understand what's really in these products.
And how they stack up, against traditional meat, but also against each other.
Exactly. And why they've become such a big part of our food landscape now. Get ready for some genuinely surprising insights, stuff that might leave you well-informed, maybe even inspire your next meal.
It really is remarkable, isn't it, how quickly these things went from, the fringe to totally mainstream.
Totally.
We've seen this massive consumer shift, and the numbers, they're pretty striking. There was a 2021 survey, International Food Information Council.
Okay.
It found 65% of Americans had already tried a meat substitute.
Wow, 65%.
Yeah. And 20%, so 1 in 5, were eating them at least weekly.
Those numbers really do speak volumes. And, beyond the obvious drivers like health or the environment, what's something surprising that's fueling this, like an overlooked factor?
Well, one thing that maybe doesn't get talked about as much is nostalgia, simple food nostalgia.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, Gina Hamshaw, she's a vegan dietitian, cookbook author. She shared something really insightful about her own journey. Like when she first went vegan, she was all about whole foods.
Right, the unprocessed stuff.
Exactly. But then over time, she found herself really craving the comfort foods she grew up with. Things like her grandma's Greek lamb or her mom's turkey meatloaf.
That makes sense. That's a powerful emotional connection, isn't it?
Totally.
So it's not just about matching a taste, but it's like bringing back those familiar feelings.
Yeah.
Especially, I think she put it, in the midst of crisis and uncertainty. That feels very human.
Absolutely. It's comfort. And then thinking more broadly, there's also just the basic association with protein. I mean, protein means sustenance, strength, satiety, right?
Yeah.
And these vegan meats, they offer a really convenient, often excellent source of protein. So they tap right into that.
So, okay, if the goal is to mimic meat, maybe we should quickly define what meat actually is in the traditional sense.
Point.
The USDA has a specific definition. Skeletal muscle, edible organs from cattle, sheep, swine, goats. Poultry and seafood are regulated separately.
Right. And the key things traditional meat offers are that unique, firm, juicy texture, and it's a complete protein. And that's really the challenge these alternatives, meat analogs, faux meat, whatever you want to call them, are trying to meet.
To look, taste, and feel like the real thing.
Exactly. And they generally fall into 3 main categories, each with a, pretty fascinating approach.
Okay, so the most common one we see everywhere is plant-based.
Right.
These use all sorts of protein sources: soybeans, peas, lentils, wheat, fava beans, chickpeas.
A whole range.
And manufacturers process these into, flours or concentrates, isolates, and then they can get texturized.
Yeah, that's the key step for texture, often using high pressure, high temperature.
To mimic muscle fibers, get that chewy feel.
Precisely, like TVP, texturized vegetable protein. That's a classic example.
Okay, then category 2.
That would be fermentation-based, maybe less common, but really interesting. The main example is mycoprotein.
Ah, the stuff in corn products.
Exactly. It's made from a type of mold, actually, Fusarium venenatum. It converts glucose into protein through fermentation. And what's neat about it is its natural structure. It's kind of thread-like, which helps give it a meat-like texture. Plus, it's high in protein and fiber.
Okay, and the third category, still pretty new, right?
Very new, yeah. Cell-based or cultured meat. This is literally growing animal muscle cells in a bioreactor.
So lab-grown meat, basically.
Essentially, yes. It's super expensive right now, not really available commercially, and importantly, it still requires initial cells from an animal. But it's a whole different frontier.
Okay. And one really crucial point for you listening, as a consumer.
Yes, definitely. Allergens.
Right. Since wheat and soy are so common in the plant-based ones.
You've really got to check labels carefully. And some products, like certain Morningstar farms or corn items, might even have egg whites, so they wouldn't be vegan. Always check.
Good reminder. For me, the real, artistry here is how they achieve the mimicry.
It's pretty clever stuff.
They go to such lengths to replicate the whole experience: look, smell, taste, texture, even the bleeding.
Ah, yes, the bleed. That's where it gets really interesting with the ingredients.
Like the Impossible Burger.
Exactly. They famously use soy-derived heme. Heme is that molecule in animal muscle that gives meat its color and, that savory taste.
Right.
The heme in the Impossible Burger, it's actually produced by genetically modified yeast. It gives it that bloody look and distinct flavor.
Whereas Beyond Meat uses beet extract for color, right?
Correct. Different approaches to achieve a similar visual effect.
It's all about tricking the senses. And what about that juicy, fatty mouthfeel?
Well, that often comes from added fats like coconut or palm oil. They mimic how animal fats melt.
Which is key for texture, but that can bump up the saturated fat content, right?
Right.
That's a trade-off.
It absolutely is. A definite nutritional point to be aware of.
So how do they actually perform in taste tests and cooking?
Well, they've come a long way. For ground beef alternatives, things like the Impossible Burger, the Beyond Burger, they really do set a high bar.
People often get fooled, apparently.
Consistently. Tasters rave about the authentic look, the meaty flavor. They work really well in burgers, chili, bolognese, you name it.
And chicken.
Similar story. Lots of innovation there.
Yeah.
You've got things like gardens, crispy tenders. People love the crunchy outside, tender inside. Perfect for salads. Then there are products that really shred, like chicken breast or nuggets described as juicier and more chickeny than others, potentially even tricking meat eaters.
Wow. Okay, what about sausages? Hot dogs?
Some great options there, too. Field roast sausages get mentioned a lot. Herby, well-spiced, they sear nicely.
Nice.
The Beyond Meat brat apparently really nails that snap when you bite into it on the grill, mimicking the casing.
Oh, that's key for a good brat.
Totally. And even things like mini corn dogs are getting rave reviews for texture and taste. Across the board deli slices, bacon manufacturers are really zeroing in on those sensory details. The chew, the sizzle, the smoky, savory note.
Sound like they're covering all the bases.
They're trying to. But beyond these, more processed alternatives, it's worth remembering whole plant foods can do amazing things too.
Right, like tofu.
Tofu, arguably the most versatile. Chicken, beef, eggs, ricotta, you can do almost anything with it.
And tempeh. That's soybean-based too, right?
Yep. Great for bacon substitutes. Apparently has a pretty inoffensive taste, so good for people new to vegan food.
And jackfruit. That's the one that mimics pulled pork.
That's the one. It's amazing how that tropical fruit transforms into convincing pulled pork or carnitas.
It really is all about the preparation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Seitan, which is wheat-based, is fantastic for chicken texture, soaks up marinades like a sponge.
Okay.
And mushrooms, don't forget mushrooms, especially king oyster, lion's mane. Naturally meaty, great texture, lots of fiber and some protein.
I saw something about a lion's mane mushroom stick.
Yeah, Omni Foods makes one. Apparently it looks like steak, still tastes like mushrooms though, but visually impressive.
Even cauliflower gets used, right? For taco meat or wings.
Yep, ground with walnuts and spices for taco meat or battered for wings. It's amazing what you can do.
So for a lot of these whole food options, tofu, mushrooms, seitan, tempeh, the key is flavor.
Definitely. Marinating is crucial. A simple broth with, say, maple syrup, plant-based Worcestershire, liquid aminos can give you this really robust, umami, tangy flavor. It makes a huge difference.
Good tip. And the innovation isn't just meat, right? What about eggs?
Vegan eggs have come so far. Just
Yeah.
egg made from mung beans makes a really fluffy scramble. People say the texture is spot on.
Interesting.
And for that sort of eggy flavor, Indian black salt, kala namak, a little goes a long way, works wonders in tofu scramble too.
In baking. Lots of substitutes there.
Oh, tons. Ground flax or chia seeds mixed with water, great egg replacer, applesauce, pumpkin puree, mashed bananas work too.
Simple pantry staples.
Exactly. Agave or maple syrup instead of honey, agar-agar instead of gelatin, loads of options.
One quick thought on protein, though. While the commercial meats are often high in protein,
Right, they're formulated that way.
some of those whole food ones, like mushrooms or jackfruit, maybe aren't as much on their own.
That's a fair point. They might not be as protein dense. If that's a concern for you, a simple trick is just battering them with something like oat or almond flour. Adds a bit of protein and crunch.
Okay, clever. So we've covered the what and the how. Let's zoom out now. The bigger picture. Health, environment, cost.
Right, the broader implications. Okay, health-wise, the general consensus from research, like a 2022 report in Future Foods, suggests plant-based meats are broadly healthier and more sustainable than animal products.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking. Nutritionally, many have fewer calories, less saturated fat than the real thing. But, and this is important, there are nuances.
Like they added coconut or palm oil for texture.
Exactly. That can mean some mock burgers like Gardeins or Impossibles actually end up having higher saturated fat than lean beef.
Okay, so you need to read the label. What about sodium?
Ugh. Yeah, sodium tends to be higher in many plant-based products, especially sausages, breaded nuggets, fish fillets, often quite a bit higher than their animal counterparts.
But they do have fiber, which meat doesn't.
They do contain fiber, yes, though sometimes it's a pretty small amount in the highly processed ones. On the plus side, some are fortified.
With things like B12.
Yeah, vitamin B12, which you usually only get from animal food. There's sometimes omega-3s, so that's a potential benefit.
Then there's the whole ultra-processed debate. Are these things bad for you just because they're processed?
It's a really important discussion. There are studies linking ultra-processed foods generally to health issues, but as experts like Stefan Van Vliet point out, not all ultra-processed foods are bad. Think about like soy milk or almond milk.
Right, it's complex.
It is, but a key point is that whole foods just have this incredible spectrum of compounds that's really hard, maybe impossible, to replicate perfectly in a processed alternative.
And there was that specific concern about the heme iron in Impossible Burgers?
Yes, Michael Hansen from Consumer Reports raised that. Because the soy hemoglobin is chemically similar to the heme iron in red meat, there's a theoretical concern it could carry similar cancer risks linked to beef ham. It's a point of ongoing research.
So definitely not a simple good or bad.
Not at all. Experts seem to view them as a mixed bag, but they generally agree these foods can be beneficial, especially if they help you transition towards a more plant-based diet. The key is probably balance incorporating them alongside plenty of whole foods.
Okay, now the environment. This is often a big selling point.
Huge.
Mhm.
And the advantages here are pretty clear. Food production, especially animal agriculture, is a massive source of greenhouse gases, maybe a third of human-caused emissions.
Wow.
And beef is a major contributor, responsible for about half the emissions tied to U.S. diets, but only provides like 3% of the calories.
That's disproportionate. And water use.
Stark difference. About 1,840 gallons of water for 1 pound of beef. Compare that to maybe 110 gallons for a pound of rice.
Big difference. So plant-based meats must be much better.
Significantly better, yes. A Johns Hopkins analysis found their carbon footprint is about 90% less than beef, 40% less than poultry.
That's impressive.
It is. Though, for nuance, they are still more energy intensive to produce maybe 1.6 to 7 times more than less processed plant proteins like plain tofu or peas.
Okay, so better than meat, but maybe not as low impact as whole beans or lentils.
Exactly. But overall, environmental experts generally agree. Plant meat has less of an environmental impact than industrial animal production. That's a major factor driving interest.
Right. Finally, let's talk cost, because that's often a barrier for people.
It definitely can be. Currently, yeah, plant-based meats are generally more expensive than conventional meat.
You see it in the store, like ground beef might be around $5 a pound.
Right. Figures from mid-2023 showed that. And a tofurkey sausage might be slightly more per pound, but some specialty items could go way higher, like $20, $22 a pound.
Ouch.
Yeah. But the outlook is pretty promising for prices to come down.
As production scales up, more competition.
Exactly. As it gets more efficient, more competitive, that price gap should narrow. We're already seeing some brands introduce like budget-friendly lines, so it's moving in the right direction.
Okay, that's good to know.
So when you step back, what's truly remarkable is just how far these alternatives have come. I mean, from basic veggie burgers to products that actually, the lead.
It's wild.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's clear this isn't just about what you choose to eat. It's tangled up with health, the environment, even that food nostalgia we talked about.
Yeah.
This deep dive has really shown the incredible innovation happening. Hopefully it gives you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about what's ending up on your plate.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Well, you've now got a much better handle on the ingredients, the nutrition, the environmental side of things.
You've heard how they compare not just taste, but their wider impact too.
It really gives you a lot to think about.
Which kind of leads to an interesting question. Considering this blend of, tradition and crazy innovation we've seen in food, what kind of new culinary experiences or maybe comforting tastes are you most curious to explore next? In your own kitchen or when you're eating out?
Keep that curiosity alive. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode of Good Vegan Meal. If you loved what you heard and you're hungry for more, head over to our link tree at linktr.ee/goodveganmeal. There you can grab our free PDF 30 high-protein vegan 5-minute meals packed with quick recipes and full nutritional stats for every meal. Perfect for busy days and plant-powered gains. And if you're ready to take your vegan cooking game to the next level, check out our cookbook's 125-minute vegan meals for kids' lunches, a school lunchbox lifesaver, 185-minute vegan meals, and 7 weeks of high-protein meals with meal planning made simple with grocery lists for each week. Grab your goodies at linktr.ee/goodveganmeal, and we'll see you in the next episode.